I'm going to go ahead and SSH in to HasViolet. And I'm logging into the Pi directory. If I do a quick directory, what you'll see is installed, you'll see a HasViolet directory. You'll see the install shell program you used to install everything. You'll see a subdirectory called hvdn-repo, which is a clone of the GitHub repository. And you also see dev-violet. If you put the word space dev, you'll also download the development directory and create a working directory in the Pi directory for you to take a look at what we're working on currently in development. Mind you, anything that dev-violet is at your own risk. We do not guarantee anything about it. But we're going to focus on what's stable, which is in the HasViolet subdirectory. So we'll go into the HasViolet subdirectory. If we do a directory of it, what you'll see is a couple of main files you'll find in here. The font5x8.bin file, that's actually used for the OLED display on the Adafruit radio bonnet hat. You'll also see the rf95.py at the bottom there. That is the library we use to talk to the hat, particularly to the LoRa module. Another critical file you see is the INI file. That's a file that we're going to edit shortly that has all the configuration for used by the other applications. The core applications we have here is HasViolet-receive and HasViolet-transmit-RX and -TX. Those apps are developed as engines, so they're developed with the intent that you can use another application to wrap around it. HasViolet-beacon is exactly what it intends. It's a beacon, just goes on for as long as the count you want. And finally, the only interactive program we have is a chat program called HasViolet-chat. And it's just a rudimentary chat program so you can talk between two HasViolet devices. But first of all, let's go into the INI file and edit it. So we go ahead and edit the INI file. And you'll see it's fairly simple. There's a default and which is the only section here right now, the default section. The first two lines are really for what are the settings to talk to the RFM module. Node address equals 1 was something that's for future reference. I'll leave it at that for now, that we're trying to do for at the lower level protocol. The frequency we operate on is 911.25 megahertz. You have to be very cognizant. If you're in the US, you can use the 900 band. In Europe, it's the 868 band. So for HasViolet, we've standardized, at least for US usage, 911.25. The transmit power is a rating from 5 to 23. We actually have it set up for very low. Modem configuration is actually different modes you could do for LoRa as far as how much bandwidth, how much characters per second. You can vary this. I say you can vary it, but you need to follow the instructions for the library of actually how to tune that. But we're going to leave that setting as is, because that setting is actually giving you the best of both worlds. How much distance can we cover with given the power, and how much bandwidth. So that's focused on reliable transmission. My call, that gets changed to either your handle, if you want to call it a handle, like for this we can call it Violet dash, we can just call it Violet or anything we want. If you've got an amateur radio license, we encourage you to use that in there. SID is a number that we use to identify, maybe you might have multiple Violets, so mine might be NE2Z and the SID might be 50 or 51 or 52. SID is also used in APRS. They actually have the numbers reserved, I think, from 1 to 15. We're trying to looking for HasViolet on LoRa to start with numbers from 50 on up to 99. And then beacon is a default text you would use if you're running the HasViolet beacon program. So, the default we have is quack quack here. All I'm going to change in here is the call sign. So I'm going to put in my call in here, and space is perfectly allowed. In fact, we want to make this all capitals. Oop. Yeah, fix this. And the SID, I'm going to make it 50. And I'm going to leave the beacon. I could change the beacon from quack quack to, since I have an amateur radio license, I'm going to use a standard phrase you'll see people use, which would be it's actually left over from the CW days, which would be VVV DE, as in this is NE2Z-50. I'm going to save that and write it. And now I have the INI configured. We can go ahead and, for example, let's go ahead and start and use the Has Violet beacon. I have to preface any application in here with the // and if I want to know how to use that beacon, I could do a -H, and that'll actually tell me the arguments I could pass to it. So -H gives you the help. -C is to count how many times you want the message to be repeated, and that message could be what's already canned from the INI file, or you can actually specify it with -M. And -T is the amount of seconds in between repeating the message. So I'm going to go ahead and do Has Violet. I'll do it for a count of 3. I'm going to tell it to do it every 3 seconds. And I'm just going to have it go with the default messages that's in there. So for the default message, I'll go ahead and return. And what you'll see there is on the left-hand side, I'm saying NE2Z-50, that's me. And then the greater sign is to point to what destination is. So since I'm beaconing out, I just use the word beacon. And then the actual message being sent is VVVDE NE2Z-50. And that's it for the brief introduction of getting your INI configured and actually setting out an initial beacon message. Thanks for your attention, and we'll look forward to catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.